Hello, Bill Fairman, Wendy Sweet, and Jonathan Davis. So, have you guys ever wondered about financing multifamily properties? That and so much more right after this.
Okay, that's my favorite.
Interesting.
That's
We're,
my favorite.
we're now a home improvement
Yeah,
store.
that's right. Look how cool we are. I like that.
We're DIYers. Welcome to the Passive Wealth Show. This is the breaking news and answer an ugly question segment of our broadcast day. Again, I'm Bill Fairman. This is Wendy Sweet and Jonathan Davis. We are Carolina Capital Management. We make loans in the Southeast to real estate investors. If you are a real estate investor and you're looking for a loan, go to our website, carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, go to that same website and click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us,
hit the bell,
like us, tell your
That's right.
friends.
Well, I don't know about your close friends.
maybe just acquaintances.
Yeah,
So how's it going?
it's going really
Yeah.
well for me. Thank you for asking. How about you, Jonathan?
Any better? I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yet you are standing. That's
Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we've removed the chairs from our studio because
Billy kept falling
We're-
asleep.
we're-
We had to poke him to wake him up.
I was afraid it was going to fall off. I'm afraid of heights.
That'd be a long fall because it's a tall stool.
Well, before we get started, I want to do some give what's his name over here, Jonathan, some kudos. We are financing a project in Augusta, Georgia. You want to talk about it real quick before we throw up a graphic?
Sure. So we have been working on a project in Augusta, Georgia. It is 44 townhome unit. We just broke ground yesterday, so all of the infrastructure, roads, curbs, gutters, stormwater, all that fun stuff just got put in. So
The horizontal is what we call it,
the
right?
horizontal. So we are now ready to go vertical. So we had a groundbreaking ceremony. The mayor of Augusta, Mayor Hardy Davis, was there with us.
And he's on the end.
Yeah, he's
in the
on
pink tie.
He's the one wearing the tie. And then the developer, which is Mr. Oscar Jesse, he's in the middle there. And then you see me in the blue shirt.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, but yeah, we did a great groundbreaking ceremony. We had, I think it was close to 100 people there.
That's amazing.
It was a great time.
And it's affordable housing too. That's what's so cool about
that's,
it, right?
That's the beautiful thing. So if you look at the area, it's 44 units that we're going to put in, and it's 3 miles from the major highway, and then it's a little less than 6 miles from the military base there. And what makes it great is it's affordable housing, and they're adding 200,000 jobs over the next, I don't know how many years, to that military base for cybersecurity.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
So there's going to be a lot of housing needs in that area.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I think the house or the townhomes start out at 169, and that's a 1,700 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
That's,
amazing.
That's amazing they can get that price.
Well, and then tell them what you said about the wood yesterday, because my first thought was, wow, the cost is going to be higher than when he started the loan, which was over 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, it was such a blessing. So him and Mr. Jesse and I were talking, and he was telling me that he has actually come in $4,000 under budget for his lumber.
That's amazing.
Which I don't know if anyone else can
I
say
know.
that.
It's
Well,
amazing. Only God.
we're assuming that it's already been purchased and delivered. That price could go up.
That's true.
While we wait.
Speaking of which, that's
we have a little video
okay,
too, right?
Okay, and then I want to talk about the lumber a little bit.
All right, hey guys, I'm here at Orchard Landing with Mr. Jesse. He is the developer on this project. and just want to hear from him about this project and what's going on and what we can hope to see in the future.
Well, we have 44 units, great, right here nestled on 7 acres of land in the heart of Augusta. We're looking to start the asking price off on these particular units at $169, which is still below 10% below the market value.
That's affordable housing, and we love affordable housing.
Yeah, affordable housing. So we actually have 6 contracts ready to go pre-sales, and we haven't even broken ground yet.
That's amazing.
So you cannot build housing fast enough here in town.
Yep, that's great.
So we're looking forward to actually breaking ground, which will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Once we get the signatures off, all the development infrastructure is already put in. We want to thank the guys from Carolina Hard Money for looking out for us, trusting us, and believing in us for this particular project. And we're looking forward to doing business with these guys and all you guys there watching here in the near future.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good partnerships. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. We were talking about wood, and I was had somebody send me. Actually, I might have gotten this off of Facebook, finance.yahoo.com. So it was a long article, but they were talking about how they're expecting wood to continue to increase in pricing. And I really wanted to read, and I hate to just read straight, but I'm going to anyway. It says the supply and demand mismatch is largely a result of the pandemic. At the same time, that state mandated lockdowns caused mills to halt production. Board quarantining. Americans were rushing to Home Depot and Lowe's to buy up materials for the do-it-yourself projects. I mean, that was the busiest place you could go to when it really first occurred.
Don't go to church, but
That's
make
right,
sure you
but they
attend your
showed-
Home Depot.
That's right. It caused the inventory to plummet. It only got worse from there. Recession-induced record low interest rates caused a housing boom. And now new housing starts hit their highest level since 2006. And of course, new homes are requiring a lot more lumber, exacerbating the shortage. And it says on the supply side, lumber production is finally rebounding. Wood production hit a 13-year high, but that can only do so much because the mills are limited as to what they can do. They actually had followed this up too. I thought this was kind of interesting. It says the CEO of Deacon Lumber, his name is Stinson Dean. He told Fortune magazine on Monday that soaring lumber futures contracts, including for months as far away as November, signal that lumber prices will be elevated for quite some time. For prices to correct, we're going to have a cool down in the market and building, which we don't see happening anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But it is saying that, everything kind of tends to slow down a little in the fall, and that maybe in the fall we'll see a slight reduction of new builds. So it'll be able to catch back up again. So it was a series of unfortunate events that got us to this position.
So needless to say, limited inventory is still going to remain limited.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We might as well go ahead and get into our breaking news. What do you think?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's talk about employment numbers. They came in today a little higher than expected. So the unemployment new claims 545. They were expecting somewhere in the 530, but you know what? It's not that big a deal.
That's right.
It's pretty close. Mortgage applications are up 1.92%.
That's interesting.
And well, rates are below 3% again. So more
Yeah,
people
they
are
did.
refinancing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily because they're buying new stuff, because there's not a lot of new stuff
I
to
can't
buy.
believe there's anybody out there that hasn't been refinanced yet.
And the
It's amazing.
our first quarter GDP number was really beat expectations. 6.45% first quarter GDP.
It's a big number, yeah.
So another thing I heard the other day, we're talking about lumber. Well, Another business that was hit hard during the pandemic was the rental car business.
Hmm.
No one was traveling.
Right.
So what did they do? They sold off a bunch of their inventory. Now that people are starting to get out there again, they're showing rental car prices. Some of them are charging $1,000 a day
No cars that good.
because they have no cars. And oh, by the way, a bunch of the automakers have paused production because they can't get enough chips in their new cars.
No chips
And
for you.
used cars are now starting to skyrocket in price
Yep.
because
Wow.
there's a shortage of inventory in the car business.
You know
too.
what's interesting on that? Just my dad called me not a couple weeks ago and was like, "It's the strangest thing. I just paid the taxes on my truck." He's like, "And the value on the taxes went up from last year." He said they were actually higher than they were the.
Yeah, I thought
That is
I
really
thought I had a
unusual.
depreciating asset.
Yeah, he's like, "I thought it was supposed to go down."
That is really unusual.
Yeah.
Well, governments are going to try and get their money any way they can,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. I guarantee you, states now, most states, at least I know, North Carolina, for example, municipalities have they have to reassess their property values at least every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, there's going to be a lot of municipalities reassessing right now,
Yep.
Yeah.
foregoing the 5 years just to make sure that they can get those values up, get some more tax revenue
Yeah.
coming in.
No doubt.
You're right.
Strike while the iron is hot.
And it is hot for sure.
Mhm.
So our ugly question, and I'm not going to go into it because I almost forgot. We have graphics for the ugly
That's
question.
right.
Sometimes I get a little over my skis.
Let's see. How can I finance a multifamily property for $900,000? Get it under contract for $1.8 million.
I'm not sure I know the entire question here, but there's lots of different ways to finance multifamily. What is it that you're looking for? Is it a value add? Are you getting something that's already cash flowing and you're not adding anything to it but your name on the deed?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about how you set up the townhome financing. It's multifamily. He's not keeping it. His
He's
intention
selling
is
it
to
off piece
sell
by
it,
piece. Yeah.
but they kind of still work the same. The exit is a little different, but
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how that was set up.
Well, so that particular loan, the way that we have it worked out right now is we financed the horizontal development, which was the stormwater, roads, curbs,
Infrastructure.
all the infrastructure, all the electrical, sewer, everything in there.
And he already owned the land, right?
And he already owned the land. And then we also included in there the financing for the first 6 units on the construction side. So so we have a lien on all the acreage with 44 lots, and then we're gonna start the first 6, which, if you heard the video, are already pre-sold.
Mhm.
So that's how we have that, and then we have a release schedule for those. When each one sells, they are released from the property or the loan for whatever we determine that we
Now,
have
if
determined.
he didn't own the land, would we have financed a portion of the
Of the
land?
Yes, we would have. Yeah, and it depends. I mean, it all comes down to a loan to cost ratio. So sometimes we can finance more than 50% of the land. Sometimes we can finance up to probably 80 or 90% of it if the loan to cost works out. Most of the time, you're going to see lenders do somewhere around the 50% mark
Of the land part
of the land part to equal out to whatever their loan to cost is, and usually it's somewhere between 80 and 90.
Now, is that land cost based on the purchase price? Or
Based on the purchase price,
Okay.
not the value?
okay.
Yeah. So one of the things we look at in land is sadly it's worth what someone paid for it.
That's right.
But as we do improvements, then it becomes worth more. So 7 acres of raw land is worth whatever you paid for it. But when you add in all the infrastructure, it's worth a lot more now.
That's right. Now, on my Wednesday with Wendy call, one of them yesterday, we were talking about, he was wanting to get a little into multifamily, and he kept thinking he just wanted to do 5 and 8 unit projects because he's worried about the zeros,
Right.
at the end of the cost. And
those are some of the 5 to 8s are some of the hardest units to finance.
there you go. There you go.
They really are.
Because the larger units, it's not about the zeros. It's really about that. It's a numbers game. It either works or it doesn't. And they're not really underwriting totally based on you, the borrower. They're really underwriting based on the project.
Yeah. I mean, when you get over, let's say, I don't know, 10 might be a little too small, but somewhere over, 10 to 15 and up, you get into what's called forced appreciation. Now we actually have a project that we can force appreciation. We can increase the value based on what we do and the rents that we can force up. When you get lower than that, it's really difficult to force appreciation because you don't have enough units to really see a sizable increase. So then it becomes but then you can't really value it on a sales comparison approach either, because 5 to 8 units, that makes up like 0.5% of the
Yeah, you can't find enough comps.
You can't find enough comps to figure out what the value is. So it's a tough area to be in for that kind of unit. But we're closing one in the next 2 weeks. So
and when you're doing smaller multifamily, the costs are the same to underwrite it, appraise it. I mean, if you had a 300 unit apartment building, you're going to pay pretty much the same amount for the appraisal as you are on a 5 unit.
Well, so I'll say this,
because it's still a commercial appraisal.
That's right.
We have a I just got a quote for a 10 unit apartment to get appraised, almost $4,000.
Wow.
And that's the same price as a 56 unit that we had appraised.
Yeah.
So,
Because they have to fill out the same form.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that you get scared when you have all these extra zeros in there. However, what it costs per door to operate gets smaller and smaller.
Right.
The larger number of units you have.
That's right.
Because you're maintaining all under one roof. You're collecting all under one roof. It just, if you have to hire management to run a 100 unit place, it's going to be, how do I put this? It's going to cost you more per door to have somebody manage 100 than
That's
it is
right.
to manage 400.
That's right.
For sure.
So your scale is much better if you're doing the larger ones. The other thing too is finding people that will lend on them.
Yeah, the smaller ones. Yeah.
Well,
There's a gap between the big ones and the very little ones.
Yeah. So 5 to 10 units, I'm seeing they're really going to the smaller local banks.
Smaller,
They're going to commercial.
They're going to like what I would call mom and pop, like self-directed IRA private lenders are doing them. Local credit unions are doing them. And one of the issues is
the long-term side of
it. The long-term side. The issue is like trying to get financing for those from a credit union or a bank to start out with. Most of them are owned by mom and pops that, they don't probably keep the best records.
Yeah.
So you don't have all this trailing information to hand over to your bank so that they can quantify the NOI, the net operating income.
Yeah.
So it's tough for them to understand that.
Documents on that.
Well, I do like seeing that credit unions are starting to get involved in some larger projects.
Yeah.
But like anybody else, they're trying to spread the risk. So you'll end up with 2, 3, maybe 4 different credit unions will all go in together and finance a piece of a project. It takes a little more, work. But if you find the one credit union that wants to do it, they're going to be your cheerleader anyway for the project.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, to get, I guess, maybe to the heart of that question, a $900,000 multifamily. I mean, depending on where you are, I mean, $900,000. If that's your purchase price in our area, that's probably going to be a
20, 30 unit.
Nah, I don't even know if it'd be that high. I'd say probably between 8 and 20 would be the max, somewhere in there. 8 to 20 would be kind of what that range would be. And then, does it need rehab? More than likely it does. When you get in units that small, it's not 1 or 2 freestanding buildings that are comprised of multiple units. Usually it's a quadplex on this parcel, a duplex on this parcel.
Right.
It gets
right.
a little
That happens a
wonky.
lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's tough. But like I said, we're doing a I think it's 5 or 6. I think it's a 5 unit. We're closing in 2 weeks.
Here in Rock Hill.
Here
right?
in Rock Hill. Yep.
Mhm.
And we're closing it because a larger national lender couldn't do it or
That's
couldn't do it
right.
fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's the problem. Those things kind of fall into that. What did we like to call that? That Medicare donut hole, where most financial institutions don't want to get into the smaller ones because they're still doing the same amount of work that they do for a larger
For the
project,
smaller one.
and they don't want the fewer zeros. They'd rather have the bigger zeros.
That's right.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go after something bigger. I will say this: if you have no experience in operating a multifamily and you're going to dive into, 100 units or more, that may cause you a little problem getting the long-term financing.
Partner with somebody who has experience.
Because they want to see that you have experience doing this. And it's not the same as owning a multi-door portfolio of single-family homes. They compare apples to apples. So if you can get a 50 unit and then another 50 unit later and build your way up, you're more likely to get long-term financing or have more choices on your long-term.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity too to get your private financing lined up.
Correct.
This is where you need to be, attending stuff like the Quest mixers online or or American IRA, anything they're putting on. Anything that IRA companies are putting on, that's how you're going to connect with people that have self-directed IRAs that are a little more educated, understand some of the long-term bigger deals, and have, 4 or 5 lenders that are willing to go in together and finance it for you.
Yeah. I mean, we have some borrowers that we've worked with for, I think, closing in on 4 years now. And we gave them their first multifamily loan, and that was on a 56 unit apartment. Less than 4 years later, they own, I think it's somewhere around 500 doors now.
Yeah.
So, it can definitely be done, and it can be done very quickly, or at least I think that's quickly to amass 400 to 500 doors. And where they started was, around that 50 unit mark, and they started with private money or hard money, whatever you want to call it. And that's, in my opinion, I'm biased, but that's probably the best place to start.
And by the way, listen to your lender.
Yeah.
When they give you suggestions, like if someone offers you top dollar on it before you finish it, then you say, no, I think I can get more for it when it's finished. And then you end up getting a little bit less for it than when it's finished. And you have to pay a realtor fee.
Yeah. Well, and then also, if we're talking about great stories, listen to your lender when they say, hey, before you close that, let's get tenant estoppels. So
talk about what that is.
If the leases, if there's long-term leases, 12 months, 6 months, whatever it is, 2 years, and they predate the mortgage, and there's a current issue with the leaseholder against the landlord, then that is transferable upon sale
to the new landlord.
To the new landlord. So
inheriting problems.
So what a tenant estoppel is, it says, hey, you are certifying that there are no outstanding issues on your lease.
Yeah,
or
my
the
toilet
property.
is still not clogged.
Yeah. And so I had some of our borrowers do that. And I don't know, it's probably last year, they called me and said, I am so glad, it was a pain in our butt to get those. So I'm so glad you did, because there was an issue that came up with it. And one of our tenants tried to sue us, and we just handed that tenant estoppel over to the judge and said, they told us everything was good, and case dismissed.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, we are a litigious society. So
Big word.
that's right. So why can't I say cover your butt?
Yeah.
Or A. CYA.
Yeah.
Okay. We are hitting the bottom of the hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to talk about Wednesday with Wendy. I don't know why it's so hard to say that.
It is hard to say.
So Wendy offers free mentorship. Eventually she'll be charging us for it. Just kidding. Anyway, she's backed up with appointments probably at least 2 months. So
Actually, I've got
get on the
some
list.
Mays open. So,
Okay.
so
So if you're not going on vacation, set up a time to talk to Wendy.
yeah.
And what else? We don't have any other events coming up, do we?
No, not yet.
Except for our next show, which
Well, I'm
is
speaking in
in a few
Greenville
minutes.
and on the Greenville, South Carolina's main
okay. So that would be the upstate
RIA.
CREA, right?
Mhm.
Upstate
Mhm.
South. Yeah. Anyway, in Greenville, South Carolina. Where else? What date?
I think it's May 17th.
Okay.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
All right, listen, it's been a great show. Thank you guys for joining us. This is the Passive Wealth Show. We are Carolina Capital Management, and we are lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you're interested in borrowing money from us, go to carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a accredited investor and you're looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, and our next show starts in a few minutes. So if you got time, check us out. Have a great day.